So today's review is mostly going to be on the campaign because when it comes to multiplayer, I've had some technical issues and also I just don't really care about Call of Duty multiplayer anymore. It's Call of Duty. Like, that's what the new multiplayer is. Have you played Call of Duty before? That's what it is. More of that. And also the cooperative element doesn't let you play split screen. So Call of Duty has revamped its future by going back to Modern Warfare. The previous Call of Duty was a multiplayer-only experience, i.e. no single-player campaign, no story, just more of the same old shit multiplayer along with a Battle Royale mode because everything needs a Battle Royale mode now. But this year's incarnation of the best-selling military first-person shooter is returning to the Modern Warfare setting that was popularized by both Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare back in 2007 and its respective sequel Modern Warfare 2, which was a pretty awesome game to be honest. Now back in the Modern Warfare setting, we're getting a new dark single-player campaign that Infinity Ward promises to be a gritty, shocking reboot filled with realism and a grounded reimagining of the Modern Warfare gameplay style. Basically, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the new one, just so we're clear because it's can be easy to get confused. I know I'm confused. I'm always confused. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is basically edgelord the game. To accomplish this goal of going back to its roots, Call of Duty would have needed to thread a very tight needle. Call of Duty games generally play like summer blockbusters with scripted and exciting action set pieces and trying to make the game rip from the headlines that stirs controversy with every level, with a story that necessitates a certain type of sensitivity, jars with the franchise's more interactive roller coaster aesthetic. As a result, Call of Duty Modern Warfare tries to have it both ways, but does so with mixed results. In terms of playability, Call of Duty Modern Warfare controls well and the campaign is well paced. However, this is a problem because the shooty bang bang fun in the story mode is offset by its dour, dark tone. Terrorism and committing war crimes are now fun for the whole family. The game contains suicide bombers sprinting headlong at the player, a child soldier level, a gameplay segment where you conduct a raid on a civilian home in London, and the game has an overall emphasis on this quote of the importance of getting our hands dirty so the whole world stays clean, unquote, pro-military outlook, which sours the mood quite a bit. Make no mistake, Call of Duty Modern Warfare plays incredibly well, but in terms of being an artistic statement, it kind of falls flat. And quite honestly, being this action roller coaster ride while also being this grounded, gritty, realistic game that wants to say something, the game can be very distasteful at times. The new Modern Warfare really tries to be about something, but it can't really help but indulge in shock value. The story follows Modern Warfare mainstay Captain Price, as well as an American military hero Alex who looks like he's trying to out-facial hair Captain Price with that stupid Henry Cavill mustache. The game follows these characters and a few others that I don't really care and don't really remember the names for as they battle not Al-Qaeda in the fictional country of not Iraq. Modern Warfare puts the player in numerous thrilling situations and some new style missions that differ from the traditional Call of Duty gameplay. The game takes advantage of the fact that in modern war scenarios, the distinction between civilian and enemy combatants are blurred, and in the right hands, this style of game could be interesting rather than just aesthetically pleasing. Like slowly opening a door, hiding weapons, and a first-person cover mechanic are good gameplay ideas, no doubt. But when it actually comes to saying something meaningful, Call of Duty Modern Warfare left me feeling empty. Like, the game had every opportunity to showcase with its morally murky tone how the evils of the Western military-industrial complex, or how we often imperialistically invade other countries, and how these actions can have negative consequences even if the intentions of striking back at the baddies are good. But if there is a game like that can know the distinction between these, it's not Call of Duty Modern Warfare. An example of this blundered storytelling opportunity is how the game repurposes the Highway of Death. In the real world, the Highway of Death is a war crime committed by America during the Gulf War that violated the Geneva Convention. On this very real and very dangerous highway, lots of retreating soldiers, hostages, and innocent civilians were killed via airstrike. In the game, the Highway of Death is repurposed to be committed by the Russians, which again feels very distasteful and unnecessary given that Russia commits its own fair share of war crimes and human rights abuses. Seriously. A Polygon article by Charlie Hall really dived into detail on this issue. To quote, in the winter of 1990-91, Western forces organized under the United States were poised inside the northern border of Saudi Arabia for a massive invasion. The stated goal was to push out Iraqi President Saddam Hussein's military forces and liberate the tiny oil-rich country of Kuwait. Conflict would eventually become known as the Gulf War. It signaled the beginning of an entirely new era of U.S. foreign policy, and it would fundamentally change the way Western forces waged war in that region. The invasion itself was organized and led by U.S. Army General Norman Schwarzkopf, whose strategy was so effective that the engagement itself was said to have lasted only 100 hours. Part of the effectiveness of Western forces in the Gulf War was air superiority. Schwarzkopf had complete military control of the sky. The advantage enabled relentless close-air attacks on Iraqi armored units on the ground, using weapons platforms that would otherwise be vulnerable to enemy fire. One of the deadliest areas in the Gulf War was directly outside Kuwait City. There, on a major arterial road leading northwest toward the border with Iraq, U.S. Marine Corps attack aircraft caught a large convoy said to include armored vehicles in the open. Strikes in the front and rear of the convoy trapped around 2,000 vehicles on a 6-lane highway, and subsequent waves of attack aircraft, including helicopter gunships and A-10 Warthogs, destroyed every single one. Pilots referred to it as a turkey shoot. But the composition of that convoy and the volume of firepower that U.S. forces brought to bear upon it has been the point of contention ever since. Some argue that the convoy was retreating in accordance with a UN resolution, and that there was no justification for attacking it even if it contained a significant number of military vehicles. Others maintain that those killed included hostages as well as civilian refugees. Images from the scene, even those captured by U.S. Air Force, tend to show primarily civilian vehicles. End quote. The Highway of Death is emblematic and symbolic of Modern Warfare's storytelling woes. The game wants to be grounded, gritty, and realistic, but the game purposely doesn't really show what a modern anti-terror war is like. The game doesn't focus much on the crimes and the murky moral areas of the quote-unquote good guys, but instead glosses over these troubling issues. The game never once makes literal war crimes like torture as something that is beyond the pale and unjustifiable. No, Modern Warfare's campaign just wants you to have fun while you parade around the world doing terrible things and shooting at stereotypical Russian and Muslim baddies. Call of Duty Modern Warfare as a game can be fun and enjoyed, but in terms of being a meaningful story, it just isn't there. Aside from the single player, there's the multiplayer that is basically the same old Call of Duty action you're used to, and admittedly, I still need to check out the Spec Ops mode, but for some reason, I can't start that yet due to a data-corrupted file that I keep trying to re-download. Oh, by the way, once you install Modern Warfare, don't you worry, you can't just play the game, you have to download a whole bunch of free DLC packs. Hooray! That in turn can become corrupted and need to be re-downloaded, which, you know, it's great that you can just buy a game and not play it like you're supposed to for hours. It's amazing. Like, you know, you look at that install time and it's just like, oh wow, the installation's done. Fuck you, it's not done at all. Man, I had to uninstall the Outer Worlds to fit this fucking thing in here. Remember when you bought a game, put it in, and played it? I miss those days. Fuck. Anyway, with that said, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is aesthetically pleasing in terms of its control and its pacing, but not very tastefully well done, and the story is kind of shit. So, with that, see ya.